Thousands of troops marching on parade. Armed Forces Day 2025, a display of military might. The annual showcase for Myanmar's junta, where the generals show the people why they're to be respected and feared. But less than 24 hours later, that might would be exposed as a charade. At 12:50 p.m. on the 28th of March, a 7.7 magnitude earthquake strikes central Myanmar. It's the most powerful to hit the country in decades. In 30 seconds, thousands of people die. Tens of thousands of buildings are destroyed. As far away as Yunnan in western China, nurses desperately cling to babies as a maternity ward rocks violently. In the Thai capital, Bangkok, high-rise condos shake precariously from side to side. Some send gallons of water cascading to the ground as infinity pools spill over the edge. At one construction site, a skyscraper collapses, killing 100 workers. But these are countries with an effective emergency response, where normality quickly returns. Inside Myanmar, after 4 years of civil war, government is broken. Al Jazeera has a team of journalists on the ground. This is the story of how the earthquake unfolds in front of their eyes, and the struggles of the civil servants and medics behind the scenes. Midday, March the 28th, 2025. Al Jazeera has a rare opportunity to interview Myanmar's military spokesman, Major General Zormentun. It's a testy exchange, but the Major General takes questions about human rights abuses and the failures of military rule head on. The interview wraps up, and the General leaves the Defense Services Museum, an isolated building on the edge of Myanmar's capital, Naypyidaw. Then, the earth starts to shake.
Initial reports had said 4.5 on the Richter scale, but I think having been in earthquakes before, 7.7 seems much more realistic. It was very strong. And as it reached its crescendo, bits of the ceiling here started falling down. People who had tried to run out of the building were in danger of being hit here. And then large lumps of concrete fell off the side of the building.
The Major General returns to check on the team. He's not too worried, he says. Most people here live in smaller, lighter structures. In the nearby suburb of Myanmar, a very different picture. Streets full of rubble. Houses and shops collapsed. Volunteer first responders already on the scene, but with almost no equipment other than their bare hands. Scores of people are buried alive. They can't afford to wait. Naypyidaw General Hospital is overwhelmed. Patients spilling out into the car park. Part of the building has collapsed. With new patients arriving every moment, they can't cope. It's a situation facing medics across the country. Myanmar's senior general Min Aung Hlaing has also come, with Major General Zaw Min Tun, whose tone has now changed.
That
help will take days to come. Myanmar's Muslim community has been hit especially hard. Mosques were full because of Friday prayers. In Pimmana, Gok Kan managed to escape. His sister is still trapped inside. But if things are bad in the capital, reports from Myanmar's second city are much worse. Mandalay is right next to the epicentre. Here, they say, whole apartment blocks collapsed and thousands have died. Shortages are frequent in Myanmar since the military coup, and queuing for fuel is part of everyday life. Less than 24 hours after the quake, long lines already form outside the petrol stations. This road is the main artery that connects the country's two most populated cities, Yangon and Mandalay. But it's slow progress. An overturned tanker lies on the side of the highway. As people fleeing the earthquake zone head south, lorries with supplies move in the opposite direction towards Mandalay. No sign of a government response.
I think about Mandalay, so the government must do something. So I watch from the social media, what are they doing, but I think nothing is response.
The closer you get, the greater the damage. The town of Pyorbwe has been hit hard. Collapsed buildings line the main road. On a side street, a bank, partially collapsed. Survivors trapped in the rubble. The first sign of a government response, soldiers heading north, but they're carrying tools for a different job. Other people in the ruins of their homes and businesses are where the damage is already done. In another town, Jok say, the military is trying to maintain control. Of those pulled from the rubble, fewer and fewer are alive. At the end of the road is Mandalay, a city of nearly 2 million people with destruction widespread. If anywhere needed help, it was here.
I go along the city, it's totally weird, destroying everywhere. 30% at least is destroyed.
The Sky Villa complex was a modern building of residential and commercial units in the center of Mandalay. Tinzar Win had been there for 2 weeks, attending a hotel and tourism training course. Half of the huge building had collapsed. The other half, doors jammed shut and walls crumbled. Those that did manage to escape are still traumatized.
ပထမဖြစ်တဲ့ချိန်မှာတော့ငလင်လောက်တယ်ဆိုတီးပြီးတော့မှပြီးပထမတတုပ်ပြီးတော့တဲ့ချိန်ကျတော့မတည်ဘူးပေါ့ကိုရှင်နေဆိုပြီးတော့လိုတဲ့ဟာလေးကိုလက်ကအိတ်ထဲထည့်ပြီးတော့မှတိမ့်လိုက်တယ်ကလေးကိုလည်းအနားမှာခေါ်ထားတယ်
48 hours after the quake, relatives call out for those missing. Residents think more than 100 people are trapped inside, but hope is starting to fade. The rescue work's being done by volunteers clambering up into the precarious structure, with little time to think about their own safety.
ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီကိုရောက်နေတာကတော့2ရက်နဲ့3ညရှိနေပြီပေါ့နော်ကျွန်တော်တို့ကမန္တလေးတိုင်းဒေသကြီးပြင်းဦးလင်ခရိုင်ရဲ့နာရေးကူညီမှုအသင်းကသူကဒီအခြေအနေနဲ့ကတော့သူကလူပေါင်း90ကျော်တော့သူကထုတ်လိုက်ပြီပေါ့နော်ဒါပေမဲ့ပိတ်မိနေတဲ့လူတွေရောရှိတာပေါ့နော်ဒါတွေတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ကြိုးစားပြီးဆောင်ရွက်နေတာဟုတ်ကဲ့ကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်
Now they have some help. A search and rescue team from China is on the scene. They've got valuable expertise and they found a survivor. Crammed inside a small hollow next to a dead body is Tutu Luen. 35 years old, she's conscious, but she's pregnant and she's stuck. At ground level, the rescuers face an impossible task. The Chinese team leader goes through the options with Tutu Luen's sister. Her leg is trapped under a huge slab of concrete. The only way to get her out is to amputate. Although it seems like a difficult decision, they have no choice. Equipment's carried up, but they face another huge obstacle. Aftershocks that could bring the whole structure crashing down. They head back in, but the minutes turn to hours as day turns to night. Exhaustion is hitting the rescue teams hard. Eventually they bring Tutu Luen out, gingerly passing her stretcher from hand to hand. But despite their best efforts, it's too late. She's pronounced dead on arrival at the hospital. The final death toll here would be 120 people.
I don't know any day when any you that can learn about it. I don't know the city between my child had the day when any agono, the sky lava, the weather nearly my tab is in my house.
Despite the sense of loss that hangs in the air, the people of Mandalay try to get on with their lives. Buddhist monks seeking alms return to their morning routine. But as the sun rises, the stench of decay fills the city, not only from the bodies in the rubble. Basic government services have all but stopped. A city that many people in Myanmar consider their spiritual capital has been brought to its knees. Priceless relics abandoned in temples deemed unsafe.
For the people of Myanmar, this is a deeply spiritual place. Yangon is the city of trade, business and money, but Mandalay is the home of their religion.
Temples that were centuries old and pagodas even older. Sacred effigies now in ruins.
This hurt, this pain, the white ink and spreads, it looks like hell.
There hasn't been much government support, but the local community is doing what it can. In the rubble of the ruined temples, families have set up camps. With the frequent aftershocks, most people are too scared to go home, even if their houses are relatively unscathed. Basic essentials are already in short supply, and some local businesses are trying to bridge the gap. There's not much, And as the crowds push forward, they know it won't last long.
There's a handout of rice and cooking oil going on here. All this has been donated by a local shop, and they are very keen to show us this. They say this is all they can provide at the moment, but it's not enough. They want more international aid to come in, and they say they're getting nothing from the government.
For Mandalay's Muslim community, prayers to celebrate the arrival of Eid. But this year, the holiday is marked with sadness. Mosques were full when the earthquake struck the last Friday prayers at the end of the holy month of Ramadan. More than 50 collapsed, killing hundreds inside. On the edge of the city, the rush and the panic are finally slowing down. Usually they do 12 cremations a day. For the last 48 hours, it's been more than 200. They've even been cremating people outside in the open air. A young woman carefully removes the remains of her sister, Ijai, from the ashes of a funeral pyre. Her mother can barely bring herself to watch, but she wants to take her daughter home to northern Shan State. Inside the crematorium, the furnace flames burn bright as they embrace another victim of the disaster. In the capital, Naypyidaw, rescuers struggle to free a mother and baby from a collapsed building. Many of these are government flats, and the administration has ground to a halt. But no such leader emerges. Instead, Myanmar's senior general heads to Bangkok to appeal for help at a regional summit. But appeals for help at home are being ignored.
The
senior generals don't seem to have any idea how to respond to the crisis that they're facing. When sirens sound across Mandalay, announcing a nationwide minute of silence for the victims of the earthquake, it causes confusion.
Internet line is dead. Wi-Fi let me out. We are dead.
No one informed the survivors, who are still living on the streets. At the epicentre is the city of Sagaing. It's taken days to clear the roads and get in the heavy equipment that's needed. Security is tight. This is a city on the front line of the civil war. The old Inwa bridge collapsed in the initial quake. Now it's broken sections sticking out of the Irrawaddy River, a warning of the destruction ahead. Emergency services have been paralyzed from the start, in a city where nearly everything has been destroyed. The situation at Sagaing General Hospital is dire. Patients evacuated after the quake remain outside in temperatures exceeding 40 degrees Celsius. Sanitation is clearly a problem, and they're finding it hard to cope. Several officials from the health ministry have arrived. but they're reluctant to talk.
I need the permission from our ministry.
I understand your situation, but this is a huge disaster. It's a huge humanitarian disaster. We understand that people in Myanmar...
Please wait, yeah.
Okay.
The officials refuse to answer any questions. But as we learn later, hospitals across the disaster zone are running out of vital medication. In the centre of Sagaing, armed police have finally joined in the clean-up operation. The military has been largely absent from the rescue and recovery so far. The armed forces should have been a vital resource, but are more of a hindrance than a help.
And
what of the hundreds of thousands of people in areas beyond Sagaing, outside government control? Myanmar's military continues to attack, like this airstrike on a town 3 hours north of Mandalay, hit on the 19th of April.
The military began launching these attacks, in some cases, less than 1 hour after the earthquake struck. There have been nearly 300 attacks that we have assessed as credible reports of attacks that have occurred since the earthquake struck.
In the weeks that follow the earthquake, international help starts to arrive. Senior General Min Aung Hlai visits a Russian clinic. Field hospitals are set up to treat the wounded, staffed and supplied with aid from overseas. The cleanup begins, but it's slow and laborious work. In many places, government assistance is limited, so they just do it themselves. Food aid starts to arrive, but this relief is coming from UN agencies that announced before the quake that they had to cut support for 1 million people in Myanmar. Now they have 850,000 more mouths to feed. And for tens of thousands of people who lost their houses, temporary encampments become permanent homes as monsoon rains approach.
Many of these buildings are so badly damaged they're going to have to be completely demolished, and that's a process that's going to take a very long time. But rehousing the people who used to live here, that's a process that'll take years.
And the military government still seems to be struggling for a response to the disaster.
First of all, what response? How have you responded? And secondly, why do you continue to punish the people? I think they've suffered enough.
Just outside Mandalay, close to the epicenter of the earthquake, is the Teak Bridge, built nearly 150 years ago. Miraculously, its fragile structure has survived many previous earthquakes. But it's been closed for 2 years because of neglect. Like many reminders of Myanmar's glorious past, it's in terminal decline.
This earthquake will leave scars on Myanmar that go far deeper than the broken buildings and fallen pagodas. And it reveals a military junta who've deserted the people in their greatest hour of need.
The final death toll of the earthquake will never be known. The military and unofficial figures vary dramatically. The best estimates are around 5,000 dead. But across Myanmar, it impacted the lives of 17 million people. People who will continue to feel the impact of this earthquake for years.